Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment today we are going to talk about the Madarsa schooling system and the necessities for its overhaul. This topic is important from the perspective of prelims as well as from the perspective of GS Mains Paper 2. So let's begin with the topics of discussion that we are going to glide by. First of all, we are going to talk about wine news, which will be followed by the Assam repealing bill. Now, we will talk about the entire segment from the perspective of Assam repealing bill because that is why this topic is in news. We will talk about the constitutional provisions related to it. We will talk about the Sachar committee. We will talk about the arguments in favor of overhauling or dissolving Madrasa schooling system and against it. We will also ask you a prelims-based question for which if you know the answer, you can comment in the comment segment. So let's begin with wine news because Assam Assembly has recently passed a bill in order to dissolve the state-run Madrasa school and turn them into regular school. The motive behind it is to, of course, encourage the minority communities because they are lagging behind when it comes to studying the regular courses like maths and science. So, first of all, we look at the provisions of this bill. It says, you can note it down, the bill repeals two existing acts, the Assam Madrasa Education Provincialization Act of 1995 and the Assam Madrasa Education Provincialization of Services of Employees and Reorganization of Madrasa Education Institutions Act of 2018. Now, these schools will not be closed down in the literal sense, but of course they will be turned into regular schools. And it also says that the dissolution of state-run madrasas, and also it also points out that all records, bank accounts and staff, it shall be transferred to SEBA. What is SEBA? It is the Board of Secondary Education. Board of Secondary Education of Assam. Alright, so all these tangents related to the madrasas will be given to SEBA. Also, the high and higher secondary madrasas which are run by SEBA, that will have the word madrasa removed or dropped down from their title, and the staff of the madrasa, especially those teachers which are teaching the religious texts, they will not be fired, but they will be retained and they will be trained further. And also, it covers private-run madrasas as well. Now, this can formulate a pre-based question, so you have to be very careful with it, that it also takes into account the private madrasas that run under the state boards. Okay, only those private madrasas will be included which run under the state board, and private madrasas which do not run under the state board will be out of its purview. But the government has aspired that the private madrasas which are not under the state board, they will be included at a later stage where they will be taught, the private madrasa students will be taught science, maths and also religious texts as well. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the reasons, the motives behind it. First reason is to overhaul the education system. As we know, in the madrasa schooling system, religious texts are given a lot of preference over maths and science. So, what this bill needs to do, it will teach religious texts, but not in a very orthodox manner. They will also be taught those subjects which are skill oriented, because if they will be taught, the students will be taught skill oriented subjects, then only they will have much more plethora of career options to go for. So these are the two reasons. Now let's look at the constitutional provisions related to the preservation of such institution. The first one is Article 25, which suggests that all the citizens of India will have the freedom to propagate, freedom of conscience basically, freedom of conscience, freedom to practice, propagate their religion. So through the madrasa system, what is happening? Propagation of religion is happening. Again, Article 29 says, now here is a catch. Article 29 says that any section of the society, any section, not only minorities, which have a distinct script, language or culture, they are entitled to preserve it. Okay. Article 29 clause 1 says that. And if we talk about Article 30, Article 30 says that minorities, that means linguistic minorities and religious minorities. There are two types of minorities given in our constitution, religious and linguistic. So these two kind of minorities have all the right in our country to establish as well as run educational institutions. All right. So I hope you will remember these three articles. Now let's talk about Sachar Committee. Sachar Committee was formed in order to look at the well-being of the minority community, from the sense that what does their literature have, what kind of impact does their literature have amongst the society, then what is the share of minorities in the private and the public sector, what is the share of minorities amongst the OBC, other backward classes, this particular section, what is their share, right? And do they have proper access to health and education or not? So all these terms of reference were there for Sachar Committee. So in the year 2006, this committee gave its report and it had several recommendations. It said that it asked the government to set up Equal Opportunity Commission to look into the grievances of deprived groups like minorities. Okay, so this could be a prelims based question. Who recommended the formulation of Equal Opportunity Committee? You have to take the correct answer by the name of Sachar Committee. Then create a nomination procedure. A nomination procedure should be created why? To increase the participation of minorities in public bodies so that they may get more involved with public dealing, right? If a person or a community gets involved with public dealing, what will happen? They will be more accepted, in the sense that they will be more considered a part of the group. So isolation will be abolished by this. This is the main motive of the statement. And establish a delimitation procedure that does not reserve constituencies with high minorities population for SCs. Also increase employment share of Muslims, particularly where there is going to be a great deal of public dealing. Of course, we told you what does public dealing mean. Also, work out mechanisms to link madrasas. Here it is, to link madrasas with higher secondary school board in order to teach more subjects. And also recognize degrees from madrasas for eligibility in defense and also civil and banking examination. So these were different recommendations given by the Sachar Committee we have discussed over here. Now let's talk about what are the arguments in favor of overhauling the entire madrasa schooling system and turning them into regular boards, regular schooling system. First is secularism, in the sense that according to this bill, not only madrasas are going to be turned into regular schools, but also the Sanskrit tolls, 97 Sanskrit tolls will not have any kind of fresh admissions from April 1st of 2021. They will be turned into research centers. So these are the different things this bill wants, that those institutions which teach a lot of religious texts should not be given a free hand in just teaching religious texts, because secularism is a fact that if Bhagavad Gita or if Bible is not being taught in any school, then Quran shouldn't also be taught in any school, right? With overtones, of course. So secularism is one fact. Second is uniformity in education. So if the pedagogy suggests that particular subjects should be taught in each and every school, then what will happen? Of course, uniformity in education will be there. A child who is studying in school X will also be, the same subjects will be taught to a person who was studying in madrasa, but now that is turned into a regular board. So uniformity of education will be there. Then, of course, if you're not only reading religious texts, you are actually studying those subjects which are skill oriented, which are employment oriented. Of course, your career will, you have a very wide range of choice of subjects, wide range of choice of career options as well. And orthodoxy and extremism, in the sense that it was the case of Kerala, where many madrasas were found to be teaching Wahhabi sect of Islam. Now this is an extreme sect of Islam which hails from Saudi Arabia. So in many madrasas in Kerala, it was seen that madrasa system was giving encouragement to this kind of teaching. So not all, but some. So that is also something that needs to be taken care of, and that is an argument in favor of this bill, right? Now if we talk about arguments against it, first of all, It strikes at the autonomy and independence of the minority communities by, of course, dissolving the madrasas, of course. And also, it is against the provisions of the Constitution, as we have seen in Article 25, 29 and 30. So it is against the provision. That's a fundamental right, by the way, 25 and 29 and 30. So it's against the provisions of the Constitution. It infringes the fundamental rights. And also it may be seen as an attack on the cultural fabric of minorities, right? What happens if a group is taken away from its own culture? They will be turning more and more paranoid. Yes, they will be more paranoid about the fact that their culture will be lost and they will be overtaken by the majority group. And it will lead to further marginalization or extremism of minorities. Alright, so these are the arguments against this bill. So I hope you found this segment very informative. But in the comment segment, you have to tell me that which national park is the oldest national park of India and what it was called earlier. Okay, so I hope you found this segment informative. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.